Christmas Eve shock. Sorry Mom, it's just family. How I responded will haunt you forever. The air hung thick with tension that Christmas Eve, an almost tangible thing, ready to snap. The scent of pine and cinnamon twisted around the room, as laughter danced through the walls like a ghost stalking unsuspecting prey. A cheerful scene? Perhaps. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. Just when you thought everything appeared perfectly normal, whispers of something sinister curled in the shadows, waiting to strike. Under the holiday lights, glinting like false promises, there they were. Family gathered close, faces bright and animated, but dread seeped in. Jake's laugh sounded off too loud, like he knew something the rest of us didn't. Mom's smile faltered for a heartbeat before snapping back into place. A nervous energy crackled, the kind that made a person's skin prickle. A family secret was tucked away, buried like a Christmas ornament, and we were all too busy sipping eggnog to notice it was slipping out. Suddenly, the front door burst open. Wind howled like a wounded animal, rattling the windows. We froze, locking eyes. That wasn't just the draft, it was a warning. In walked Uncle Charlie, his smile dimmed but eyes wild. You all won't believe what I found. He shouted, throwing his hands up like a magician revealing a trick, but we felt no joy, only dread. Charlie, what? Mom's voice trembled, a wisp of fear weaving through her words. It was the kind of fear that clenches the heart, a cold fist squeezing tightly. What could a man like Uncle Charlie conjure that would unsettle this holiday cheer? Oh, just a little family history, he winked, as if that made it better. As Charlie started to talk, voices lowered and ears perked. Shadows flitted across faces, uncertainty painted everywhere. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Eyes glued to Uncle Charlie, we felt that electric charge again in the air. Something was coming, something we weren't prepared for. He leaned closer like a conspirator sharing a dreadful truth. It's about your father's past. He paused, letting it hang. You could hear a pin drop. My chest tightened as cold dread raced through my veins. The Christmas lights flickered ominously, casting long shadows that wrapped around us like the first echoes of a storm. What could he mean? Dad's past? The room spun in a whirl of whispers, every word closing in. And as Uncle Charlie shifted to reveal whatever horror loomed beyond the pretty decorations, I didn't just feel a lump in my throat, I felt the icy grip of something dark creeping closer. What had he unearthed? What haunted secrets lay waiting, trapped in this very room, beneath the cheerful tree? As we leaned in, breath held tight with anticipation, the clock ticked, and the tension drew tighter. Unraveling next would change everything. Uncle Charlie's grin faded, replaced with a grimace that tightened his features. Listen up, everyone. Your father wasn't always the man you know him to be. There's a reason he moved away and left his past behind like a bad dream. The air grew heavier. With each word, he pulled us deeper into a story we hadn't asked for but were now trapped in. What do you mean? I whispered, my voice barely escaping my lips, trembling just like Mom's hands on her glass. With an exaggerated sigh, Charlie leaned back, eyes darting around, drawing us all in closer. It's about the Smith family. A dark past tied up in violence and secrets. Your father, he was involved in something dangerous. A small glow from the nearby Christmas tree flickered, as if it were shivering from the words uttered. Jake shifted uncomfortably in his seat, Melissa clutched the edge of the couch, and Mom's expression turned pale as if she'd just seen a ghost. Dangerous? Melissa echoed incredulously, her brows knitting together. What are you saying, Uncle Charlie? Is this some kind of joke? No joke, he fired back, his tone sharp. I stumbled onto some old article stuff buried years ago. I didn't know. I didn't think. But I had to tell someone. There were rumors of illegal activities, debts, and worse. The whispers intensified, each word weaving a web of fear, tightening around all of us. What kind of man had my father been? I glanced at Jake, whose face now wore the shadow of outright confusion and panic. You're saying our dad was a criminal? No way. He hissed, shaking his head. Charlie opened his mouth to respond, but the sudden ring of the doorbell cut through the room like a knife. Silence fell as we exchanged bewildered glances. That wasn't just a casual visitor tonight. It was a harbinger of truth or disaster. Mom stood up, her body stiff and hesitant. I'll get it. Her voice trailed off weakly, but none of us moved, rooted to our seats with a fear that held our feet like cement. As she opened the door, the blast of cold air rushed in, and a silhouette hovered just outside, half hidden from view. I could only see the outline, but dim flashes of moonlight created an ominous picture. Heart racing, I strained to hear what would happen next. Can I help you? Mom's voice was shaky but firm. A low voice responded, layered with menace. I'm looking for David. Panic shot through me. David was our father's name. But who was this stranger? Mom swallowed hard, taking a step back, her instincts kicking in. Who wants to know? A low laugh, signaling danger. You'd be surprised, Ma am. Family sometimes has a way of coming home when you least expect it. The implications of that laugh quivered through my bones. Charlie, I whispered, almost pleading for reassurance. But he was frozen, eyes wide, half lost in recollections of his own past. Suddenly, the ominous presence at the door was illuminated by the warmth of the interior, revealing a face partially cloaked in shadow. A chill embraced the room, and in that moment, I felt my heart begin to race in sync with the heavy ticking of the clock, each second stretching into eternal uncertainty. What had Uncle Charlie's stories awakened? What secrets lay in wait just beyond the threshold of our door? The scene shifted as a shiver ran down my spine, and I understood we were no longer alone. What awaited us with this unexpected visitor? With trembling hands, I clenched the cushions, bracing myself for what might erupt next. The stranger hesitated, his features emerging from darkness with each flicker of light. His eyes were sharp, glistening with a familiarity that sent chills racing across my skin. Mom's breath hitched as she stared into the abyss of his uncanny gaze. David, he repeated, leaning slightly closer, as if savoring the word. I was wondering when you'd get my message. Message? What message? Mom's voice trembled, her hands gripping the door frame. The tension stretched like an overcooked noodle, ready to snap. Your husband has been keeping secrets, hasn't he? Secrets that need to be shared, he said, a thin smile twisting his lips. Jake jumped to his feet. Get away from my mom. Who the hell are you? His voice cracked, but the anger spilled out like a bucket of ice water. The stranger shifted, an eerie calm emanating from him. A friend of your father's. Just here to remind you all of some family matters. He let the words linger, the implication hanging like a heavy cloud. What do you want? Melissa's voice was barely a whisper, as if saying the words aloud would make this terrifying scene more real than it already was. I'm not here for anything malicious, he assured us, though the menace wrapped around his tone. I just need to talk to David. This is about more than just the past. This is about the present. Mom's face scraped through several shades of fear, every emotion etched into her features. David is not home. You need to leave, she said, but her shaky voice lacked conviction. You think you can just keep hiding? His past is a shadow that won't disappear no matter how much you want it to, and I'm here to pull it back into the light, he replied, stepping further into our home. There was a sharp intake of breath from Uncle Charlie, who seemed to come alive at the realization that this was no mere threat. You shouldn't be here, he stammered, his past catching up to him like a predator. The stranger fixed his gaze on Charlie, the glimmer of recognition passing between them, an unspoken understanding that felt like a knife twisting in the air. You know what's at stake, Charlie. What do you mean, at stake? I asked, pushing through the fear mounting in my chest. What does this have to do with us? Everything, he replied, a guttural sound cloaking his voice like thunder before a storm. You're part of a family legacy that goes back generations, a legacy characterized by blood, debts, and the very things your father tried to leave behind. But some things, they have a way of finding you. A chill swept through me, making the air unbearably heavy. I had always seen my father as a hero, a man who cared for his family. But this stranger placed doubt like poison in my veins. Why are you doing this? Mom's voice broke, echoing the fragility of our current reality. Because you need to choose. Face the truth about whom you're connected to, or allow the truth to catch up to you in a more violent way. His voice lowered, every syllable dripped with weight. I'm here to help, or to ensure that you understand the danger of keeping secrets. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, thickening with implications. The flicker from the Christmas tree cast haunting shadows on the walls, creating a nightmarish scene unfolding in front of us. David has something that belongs to me. And nothing will stop me from finding it. He took a step inside, and I felt the world tilt, a sense of dread boiling in my stomach. What was our father hiding? What had he gotten himself into? As I stood, paralyzed, the air in the room turned electric. The door behind Mom creaked, hinting at the escape she needed, but we were all held captive by the weight of what he had just revealed. The stranger looked around, the corners of his mouth curling into a grin. You'll hear from me again, sooner than you think, he said before glancing toward the door, like leaving us in a storm. And then he stepped back into the night, his shadow fading into the darkness, leaving behind unanswered questions, and the echo of his words hung in the air like a memento mori. What awaited my family in this unearthing of the past? What danger lurked just beyond the door? As I turned to seek comfort in my mother's presence, I knew we were just at the beginning of something dark and terrifying. How far would we go to uncover the truth that had already begun to unravel? The door swung shut behind the stranger, and the silence swallowed us whole. My chest felt tight, like I was trying to breathe through a rubber band. Mom's hands shook against the door frame, and I could see the fear dancing in her eyes, a fear I didn't recognize in her before tonight. Who was that? Jake's voice shattered the stillness, sharp and high. What the hell just happened? Uncle Charlie stood frozen, his face pale as if he'd seen a ghost, or worse, the weight of decades pressed into his silence. It was unsettling, a reminder that shadows lingered where we thought there was light. He knew Dad, I finally managed to say, the words tasted like ash. That's why he was here. Maybe knowing him is the problem, Jake shot back. All I know is that guy is trouble, and whatever he was talking about, it can't be good. Mom finally turned to us, her eyes wide. We need to figure out what he meant. About David. About the secrets. What secrets? Uncle Charlie's voice cracked, almost pleading. I thought we left all that behind. I thought you were safe. Safe? My voice rose, adrenaline surging. How could we possibly be safe? We're standing here because of who Dad was, apparently. A knot twisted in my stomach as I remembered the strange look that passed between the stranger and Uncle Charlie. The air shifted again, laden with something dark, and I wanted to scream. I don't care what past ghosts are crawling out of the woodwork, Mom said, her tone suddenly fierce, laced with desperation. We have to protect ourselves. We have to protect David. How? Jake questioned, his eyes darting around as if looking for escape. What can we do without knowing exactly what we're up against? Maybe we can talk to Dad, I suggested hesitantly. The idea of our father facing this, whatever it was, filled me with dread. He needs to explain, he can't keep this from us. Mom shook her head. He's already made choices that put us in this situation. We can't rely on him now. Then we do it ourselves, Jake said, determination seeping into his voice. We find out the truth. We dig into whatever it is he's hiding. Uncle Charlie's expression darkened. That kind of digging leads to trouble. You don't know what you might uncover. What choice do we have? I shot back, anger flaring. If we don't face this head-on, we might end up buried under it. The tension coiled tighter, suffocating us. The quiet of the house felt ominous, like the calm before a storm. Just then, a loud crash broke through the stillness, a noise coming from the garage. Mom's face went pale. What was that? We exchanged fearful glances. Whatever secrets were buried, didn't he want to stay hidden? It's probably just the wind, right? Jake said, though his voice wavered. I'll check it out, I said, the urge to investigate overshadowing my fear. Stay here. No, Mom protested. We should stick together. It's safer. But I was already moving toward the door, adrenaline pushing me forward. We need to see what it is. I need to know. With shaky hands, I turned the handle and opened the door, the creak echoing into the dark. The moment felt suspended in time, and in that fleeting instant, the air crackled with tension. I stepped outside into the frigid night, the icy wind biting at my skin, and as I walked towards the garage, uncertainty clawed at the back of my mind. What awaited me in the depths of the shadows? Was the storm finally breaking loose? Then, without warning, a figure lurked at the edge of the garage door, and I froze, heart pounding as realization washed over me. This was over not by a long shot. What did the night still hold? My breath caught in my throat, fear tightening around my chest like a vice. The figure stood just out of reach of the flickering garage light, a silhouette that shifted slowly, almost deliberately. Each heartbeat thundered in my ears, echoing the questions that raced through my mind. Who were they? And why were they here? Hello? I called out, my voice barely above a whisper, trembling just like my hands. No response came. Only the rustle of leaves danced through the night, a haunting melody that underscored the tension. I stepped closer, the gravel crunching under my feet, each sound feeling amplified in the silence. With every tiny movement, the figure remained still, lurking in the dark. My instincts screamed for me to turn back, to run, but I was anchored by the need for answers, and gnawing curiosity mingled with fear. Is someone there? I tried again, and finally, the figure stirred, stepping into the light. My heart dropped. Jake stood with wild eyes, his face pale and gaunt. You shouldn't be out here alone. He burst out, panic rippling through his tone. What are you doing? I asked. I thought it might be someone else. My mind darted back to the stranger, to the secrets and the fear pressing down on us. Is Mom okay? I don't know. When you went out, she started freaking out. Said the noise sounded like footsteps. His voice dropped, a whispered urgency. I couldn't just stay inside. We have to get back to her. I nodded, the weight of dread settling deeper. We need to figure out what is going on. This isn't just some normal night, Jake. He glanced back toward the house, unease etched on his face. Do you really think whatever made that noise is gone? We should. Before he finished, another loud crash rattled the garage door, sending both of us jumping back. Oh my God, I gasped, staring at the door, the old wood creaking ominously. What was that? Maybe it's just the wind, he said half-heartedly, but I could hear the tremor of fear in his voice. It's not just the wind. My heart raced, a primal instinct taking over. Someone's here. Then what do we do? He asked, stepping back, his back pressing against the cool metal of the car. We figure out if it's a friend or foe, I said, trying to sound brave even as doubt clawed at me. We can't just wait. They might suddenly. The garage door burst open, revealing a figure, half-cloaked in shadow. It was Uncle Charlie, his eyes wide, breathless. Get inside. Now. The urgency in his voice sliced through the tension like a knife. Without hesitation, Jake and I rushed towards him. But as I passed through the doorway, something sharp glinted in the corner of my eye, a metal object half buried in the dirt beneath the car. Wait. I hesitated, instinct telling me to look, but Charlie's grip tightened on my wrist, yanking me back. What? I shot back, heart hammering as confusion spiraled. What is going on? The look in Charlie's eyes chilled me. You don't want to know what's in there. Trust me. Behind him, shadows shifted again, closing in, dark shapes creeping into the light. I grabbed Jake's arm. We have to go. We need to figure this out, together. Together? Uncle Charlie echoed, his voice barely a whisper. But some truths are better left unspoken. His words hung in the air like a promise of danger, and my stomach twisted as realization hit me. Perhaps the chaos we'd been living was only the beginning. What did we risk discovering if we pressed further into the shadows? Before I could process, another crash echoed, louder this time, a warning or a threat. The night was far from over, and I could feel it closing in. What new horror awaited us as we dared to venture deeper into the dark? My pulse raced as Uncle Charlie's warning lingered. Shadows loomed closer, and the air felt thick with danger. I felt the grip of fear tightening, each breath heavier than the last. We can't just stand here. I insisted, my voice sharper than I intended. Stay behind me, Charlie commanded, shifting into the garage as he raised his flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating a path. Figure out what is going on, and we'll move. You're not going to leave me behind. I shot back, stubbornly gripping Jake's arm tighter. I could feel the tension in him, the shift between fear and protectiveness. Fine, but stay low, he replied, his brows furrowing. We shuffled inside the garage, the sharp smell of oil mixing with an underlying scent I couldn't quite place, like old metal and something else, something sickly sweet. The door creaked shut behind us, sealing in the tension. Charlie scanned the room, eyes darting from corner to corner. Look for anything unusual. We don't have much time. My heart thudded as I followed his lead, peering around the cluttered space. Old tools hung from the walls, cobwebs stretched across the rafters, but one item caught my eye, the metal object glinting from the dirt. Instinct pulled me toward it, but Jake's sudden exclamation held me back. Is that blood? He gasped, pointing towards the far wall. That I followed his gaze, and there it was, an unsettling streak of red against the peeling paint. My stomach twisted, and a cold wave of panic rushed over me. What the hell? Stay here. Charlie barked, moving forward, the flashlight illuminating the odd shape beyond the wall's edge. Without thinking, I stepped closer, and Jake followed, both of us drawn to the impending horror. Suddenly, Charlie's voice lowered. Just don't. We need to get out. Now. But it was too late. Before I could process his warning, a figure wrenched itself from the shadows, tall and cloaked in darkness, a face obscured by shadows. It swung an arm toward us, something glinting in its hand, and I felt the air electrify. Run! Charlie shouted, lunging toward us, shoving me and Jake backward just as the figure snapped its hand forward. A blade glinted under the faint light, a knife, its point gleaming with malice. Charlie tackled the looming shadow, their forms colliding in a tangle of limbs. Go! Don't look back! He yelled, grunting under the struggle. That my legs moved before my brain processed the command. Jake was right behind me. We bolted toward the garage door, heart pounding in rhythm with our frantic escape. I could hear Charlie grunting as he battled, the metallic thud of the knife meeting flesh echoing in the confines of our hurried retreat. As we burst into the night, the cool air hit my face, sharp against the heat of my adrenaline. But where could we run to? The house loomed ahead, its windows darkened like lifeless eyes watching our escape. We can't go back in there. Jake breathed as we halted, looking back at the garage. The shadows shifted inside, and I could barely see Charlie grappling with the figure. My mind raced through the options. What if another crash from behind us cut me off? They're coming! Jake shouted, panic flooding his words. Before I could take a breath, the figure burst through the garage door, shadow draped like a cloak around it. As it stepped into the moonlight, my blood ran cold. It wasn't just anyone. It was someone I recognized. Help me! The figure pleaded, voice gravelly and familiar, echoing my worst nightmare. The realization hit me like a punch. I knew them. Was it really Jake grasped my arm, eyes wide with terror. What do we do? His voice trembled, reflecting the chaos swirling around us. Behind the figure, more shadows moved, drawn like moths to flame. Run! I screamed, but even as the word left my lips, I felt anchored to the ground, trying to comprehend the nightmare unraveling before me. Who was this figure? And what choice did we have as the night descended into chaos? As a chilling laugh echoed from the garage, I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. What terrifying truth awaited us in the next moment? The moonlight cast eerie shadows across the driveway as my heart raced, each beat amplifying the dread gnawing at my insides. It can't be, I whispered, the words barely escaping my throat. Jake's grip on my arm tightened, transforming his panic into a silent plea for direction. Is that really them? He stammered, eyes darting between the looming figure and the garage from where we had just fled. I wanted to scream, a part of me did, but nothing came out. The figure stepped closer, the moonlight revealing a familiar face twisted in shadows. Alice, help me! They shouted again, a mix of desperation and fear flooding their voice. It was a sound I recognized all too well. Mom? The word slipped from my lips before I could stop it. And just like that, the nightmare deepened. My senses blurred with confusion as I took a step forward, adrenaline battling against the icy dread inside me. No! Jake hissed, pulling me back forcefully. You can't trust them. But how could I turn away from my mother? The woman who had always protected me. I remembered her smile, her warm embrace, but now that memory felt like a blade slicing through the mist. Keep away from her, Alice. The figure stepped into the light, revealing not just my mother, but the red stain on her shirt, the same ominous hue that had caught my eye in the garage. What happened? My voice quivered, wavering between hope and terror. I was attacked. It's not safe. Please, come to me. She pleaded. But shadows still swarmed in the darkness behind her. They were drawn closer now, the tension thickening the air around us. Get back! I yelled, glancing at Jake, who was shaking his head vehemently. We can't go near her. His voice trembled with the weight of ultimate fear. But my heart screamed otherwise. Charlie. The name escaped me before I could hold it back. They were still inside the garage, and I had forgotten about him in this chaotic rush. Had he made it out? I wasn't sure. Then I heard a low growl rising from within the shadows as more figures emerged from the night. They stumbled forward, eyes glinting with something more sinister. The darkness wasn't simply a backdrop, it was alive, a living entity determined to bury us beneath its weight. That I felt like I was teetering on the edge of a cliff, caught between love and fear. Mom, what is happening? I called, my voice strained, laced with distress. Listen to me. It's a trap. She shook her head, desperation meticulously painted on her features. They're not what they seem. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward, its outline distinct from the rest, a sharp silhouette with a knowing grin plastered on its face. The glint of the knife wavered in the light of the moon. My pulse raced anew as it moved into view, and I recognized the malicious smile. Oh, aren't family reunions just delightful? Who are you? I shouted, my voice rising in pitch, panic clawing at my throat. Just a visitor. But consider this a family affair. It stepped into the light, revealing familiar features. My heart dropped. It was someone I once trusted, long ago. Stay away from us. I yelled, pushing Jake behind me instinctively, protective instincts flaring to life as the shadowy figures advanced. We don't want anything to do with you. Oh, Alice. You have no idea what you're caught in. The figure lowered their voice, conspiratorial yet teasing, and that when I felt it, a shift in the air, the most chilling sensation of all. The shadows gathered closer, enveloping my mother, stealing her warmth as if to snuff out the light inside her forever. Stop! I screamed, my legs acting on their own, the need to protect enough to make me brave. I shot forward, desperate to breach that gap, to reach my mother before, but then the deep, sinister laughter echoed again, unraveling every ounce of courage I had left. You're too late, beautiful, the figure said, mocking me as more shadows entwined around my family that I could only watch, paralyzed by fear, as the night closed in around us. My mind raced. How could I possibly save them? With every ounce of strength, I called out. Charlie. Where are you? We need you. But the only reply was the oppressive silence of the night. What were the shadows planning? Would I dare to find out? The shadows thickened, wrapping around my mother like a shroud, obscuring her desperate gaze. My heart thundered, urgency spurring me forward. Mom! I cried, breaking loose from Jake's grip. No, Alice. He lunged, but I was already sprinting. The gravel crunched beneath my frantic steps as I went toward my mother trapped in darkness. The sinister laughter echoed through the night, chilling me to the bone. Behind me, Jake yelled something. I barely caught it. Stay back. But the turmoil within me pushed me on. I had to reach her. Mom, I'm coming. I shouted, every word dripping with fear and determination. Just steps away, I could almost feel her presence, could almost tether to those once comforting arms. Suddenly, the air shifted, turning cold as ice. A figure darted past me with a swift motion, blocking my way. The knife glinted in the silver light, raised menacingly. My breath caught in my throat, panic spreading like wildfire in my chest. What horrors lay in this malevolent reunion? Such a brave little girl. The familiar figure grinned, eyes swirling like a storm. It was just a stone's throw away, the shadows shifting behind them like restless souls. But I think you're in over your head. Get out of my way. I shouted, every ounce of strength igniting my voice. Oh, Alice. Their tone dripped with relish. You shouldn't be here. This isn't your fight. Before I could retort, the shadows surged forward, wrapping tighter around my mother. I could see her now, struggling against the dark mass, not just a hostage, a beacon being snuffed out. Alice, help. She cried, her voice raw and heart-wrenching. That instant, I felt time suspend, the raw desperation on her face cutting through the night's chaos. It pierced my chest, a knifing anguish that called forth something deep within me. I couldn't let her go. You fight for family, you fight for love. Let her go. I screamed, and as I did, something ignited in the depths of me, a flicker of determination that smoldered into fire. The shadows throbbed at my command, seeming to recoil. The figure before me sneered. And what will you do, child? You're just a lost lamb bleeding in the dark. Every ounce of instinct roared to life. I will save her. My voice rang out, fierce and unwavering. Without thinking, I lunged at the figure. With a shriek, the knife went flying, clattering against the pavement as I collided into them. I felt a rush of adrenaline, anger propelling me as I shoved them away. The shadows hesitated, momentarily quaking as if undecided. My heart surged with the hope that they sensed my resolve. Mom! I called again, slipping past the startled figure, reaching her trapped form. Hold on. But as I grasped her trembling hands, a voice echoed deep within the shadows, dark and resonating. You think this will be so easy? Family bonds can be stronger than you know. Suddenly, a blinding light flickered from within the darkness, illuminating the night in an array of swirling colors. I squinted against it, the dread twisting in my stomach. What was happening? And then, I felt it, a jolt like electricity racing along my arms, connecting me to my mother. What was this surge? Was it hope or despair? Shadows boiled and writhed around us, almost shaped by our collective fears and desires. Stay with me, Alice. We have to fight. My mother shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. With my heart racing, I pulled her close, determined to shield her from the darkness. But just as I thought we could break free, a terrible realization pierced the haze. The shadowy figures forged ahead, grinning wider, revealing their plan with chilling clarity. They weren't just after my mother, they wanted us both. As I stood there, paralyzed between fear and fury, I knew I had to choose my next move carefully. Would I act on instinct or sink deeper into despair? And what would become of Charlie in the chaos? The shadows convulsed around us, earthquakes of malignant energy. I held tight to my mother's hands, feeling the tremors of desperation in her grip. Alice, whatever is happening, don't let go. She was a beacon in this nightmare, her voice steady despite the chaos swirling in the dark. But the shadowy figure, the one who had blocked my way, was back on their feet, eyes gleaming with malicious delight. You think you can fight this? They laughed, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. Family is a cage, Alice. You can't escape the darkness that binds you. Family. The word sent a sharp pang through my heart, reminding me of both love and imprisonment. I thought of Charlie, trapped somewhere in this menacing web. The thought ignited a spark inside me. I needed to draw strength from the very thing that anchored me. Mom, remember what you always told me? I shouted over the laughter, my voice trembling yet resolute. Family isn't just blood. It's the ones who stand by you when everything seems lost. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I saw hope flicker amidst her fear. That's right, Alice. Together we're stronger. The shadows abruptly twitched, as if they were responding to our unity. With a deep breath, I focused on that connection, feeling the heat of our love pulsing through me, cracking the frost of fear that threatened to consume. Stand with me, I cried. Together, we can break free. The shadows recoiled as I concentrated, pulling energy from the bond that stretched between us. A golden light shimmered around us, rising against the encroaching darkness. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just a girl fighting to save her mother. I was a storm gathering strength, fueled by love and defiance. The figure's grin faded. No. You can't do this. They spat, stumbling back as the golden energy pulsed outward. With a sweeping motion, I thrust my hands forward. The light surged from my fingertips, slicing through the dark like a lighthouse-piercing fog. The figure screamed, their form contorting as the shadows writhed behind them. Hold on. I shouted to my mom as I drew forth the last reserves of my strength, pushing the light further, unfurling it like a glowing shield between us and the shadows. Suddenly, the laughter fell silent. The sinister presence faltered, shadows distorting as the golden light pressed closer. No. This isn't over. The figure screeched, their voice fading as they melted away into the inky void. For a moment, anticipation hung in the air. I looked at my mom, and her gaze mirrored mine, a blend of fear and exhilaration. Had we changed the tide? Could we truly break the hold of fear? But just as I thought we had won, a flicker of darkness erupted from the ground beneath us. A figure emerged, larger and more terrifying than the last. It was cloaked in shadows, its face obscured, exuding an aura that demanded obedience. Foolish girl. It bellowed. You cannot escape your lineage. The ground trembled beneath me, a foreboding reminder of what lay ahead. Mom, we have to. But before I could finish, the shadows surged again, engulfing us both. The world twisted, colors bleeding into each other, reality unraveling as if threads were yanked from a tapestry. I clung to my mother, hearts racing in unison, but I could feel our connection growing weaker. Fight it, Alice. Fight for us. She urged, an anchor in the storm. As I strained against the rising tide of despair, I realized that this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a darker journey, a deeper mystery that could tear us apart or bring us closer than ever. What would happen if I couldn't hold on? Could I even begin to comprehend the truth that lied ahead? And what if the shadows were only a prelude to the real horror waiting for us? Look, that's not my mom. I called, my heart hammering, every fiber of my being fighting back against the rising chaos. The towering figure clad in shadows stepped forward. They seemed to weave between the rapidly fading whispers of the night and the memories that struck like knives through my heart. She is your mother, hers is a legacy you can't outrun, it proclaimed, voice drenched in malice. No. I screamed, shaking my head violently. You're lying. I squeezed my mother's hands tighter, pulling strength from her warmth, desperate to pull her from the darkness' iron grasp. Fight it, Alice. She cried, her voice an urgent beacon amidst the thickening shadows. Together, we can break free. Those words ignited a fire inside me, a deep-rooted belief that love transcends all, even this looming darkness. An echo of laughter reverberated around us, shadowy specters forming more menacing shapes. Foolish girl, the figure mocked, coiling like smoke around me, swirling memories of fear and bitterness. You believe love can save you? You are beholden to your bloodline, whether you like it or not. No. I choose my family. I choose her. I shouted back. As I screamed, a surge of light erupted from within. It pulsated with a warmth that swept away the icy clutches of despair. My fingers glowed, igniting in a brilliant blaze. At that moment, strength poured from the connection I shared with my mother, far too powerful to extinguish. The towering figure recoiled, shadows writhing as if caught in a violent storm. Enough. You can't defeat the truth. It bellowed, but its bravado faltered, its form destabilizing like smoke in the wind. With primal force, I pushed the radiance further outward, surrounding my mother, casting out the darkness like fog at dawn. You are nothing but lies. The shadows hissed, disoriented by the glow that swept through, illuminating the hidden secrets swirling around us. I felt every heartbeat of our unity, fueling the light, dissipating fears rooted deep in our souls. Leave us. I shouted. You don't own us. Our love is stronger. The figure shrieked, losing its grip. As the shadows wavered and twisted like panicked creatures, I saw glimpses of their true forms, twisted pasts, haunted memories, each one begging silently for redemption. The air trembled around us as the final strands of darkness shrieked and whirled away, imploded into nothingness. A calm settled, light broke through the oppressive darkness, casting away the weight of fear. Did we win? I dared to ask, breathless as I looked at my mother, searching her eyes for confirmation. She beamed, tears glistening, a mixture of relief and love cascading over her features. Yes, we did. But just as joy crested, I felt a cold gust sweep past, a warning, perhaps. This isn't over. Echoed the familiar voice in the distance, taunting, spiteful, but I refused to cower. No more. I cried, fierce determination sizzling in my veins. We will fight for our truth. Together, always. Jake's voice broke into my thoughts. Are you guys okay? His eyes were wide, holding an urgency that mirrored mine. We're fine, but I think we need to confront our past. All of it, I said slowly, allowing the weight of reality to settle in. Right. Together. We unravel this, we put an end to it once and for all, he asserted, glancing quickly around us, the echoes of the night lingering though the oppressive shadow had lifted. And then, Uncle Charlie emerged from the depths of the garage, disheveled and weary. He looked at us, guilt and courage mingling in his eyes. I'm sorry for not saying anything before, he admitted, voice low. What I found out about David, it's dangerous. Then let us face it. As a family, I shot back, feeling the warmth of conviction swell anew. Together, we can handle whatever comes next, Jake affirmed. The path stretched ahead, darkened by uncertainty but illuminated by our love and ferocity. I reached for my mother, clasping her hand, feeling Jake's solidarity beside me, and Uncle Charlie's resolve at my back. Whatever challenges lie ahead, we'll face them united. We're far stronger than our past, I declared, confidence enveloping us like a warm blanket against the cold winds of dread. And as my voice cut through the lingering shadows, I understood a new journey awaited, a chance to reclaim our narrative from the clutches of fear. Let us go, I said, determination renewed. We will rewrite our story on our own terms. The night felt lighter as we walked back towards the house, hearts synchronized in hope. And with every step, the bonds we forged served as our armor against the treacherous road ahead, vowing that whatever lurked in the darkness, we'd face it together, no matter what. It was not merely a fight against shadows, it was a declaration of resolute love, courage, and a family reborn. Now that you've journeyed with us, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let everyone know how much you love this journey. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what comes next. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Show your support for the channel and stand with us in the light.